Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking all things real estate. And today, the big announcement just came out.
Finally, what we've all been waiting for, right?
Right, yeah. A quarter point reduction in Bank of Canada's prime lending rate.
That's fantastic news, I guess, right? Everybody's all excited. Like, it came out and like first thing in the morning, I seen like 100 posts.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Every realtor, every mortgage broker.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about it from just what I want to talk about kind of my perspective. I know you want to talk about your perspective on it. I got to say, I think it's great that it's happening, and it's a precursor, I think, to more reductions going forward, provided that the economy hangs on and inflation stays under control. Okay. Yeah. However, there's not an immediate result that this is going to have. Like, let's talk about in the real estate market. Okay. They announced it, that there's going to be a quarter point reduction. Didn't mean the next day prices went up by $100,000 across the board.
And that was the warning. Some of the headlines were saying like, oh, if we see interest rate reduction, it might fuel the market to like take off again.
Right.
But really, financially, it doesn't make a huge impact. Like if it's
no, it may, from
that
what
quarter point.
Yeah, from what we saw and from what we heard about different surveys and things that were being done, BMO's is a good example where 70% of buyers were waiting for price reduction or the interest rate reduction before getting into the market again.
Yeah.
This may be something that motivates some of that group to say, okay, now we're ready to step back into the market. We're ready to find something. But you're talking about, let's say it takes them 3 months to find a property.
Sure.
Okay. So in order for that to affect the housing market, you're looking at probably, 6 to 12 months down the road before one purchaser, then another purchaser, then the market's going to feel the pressure.
The domino effect of that.
Right.
Yeah, I think it has a general a positive buyer sentiment, and I think it'll take time for that to wear on to people who are trying to decide is this a good time to purchase a home?
Yeah.
And it will affect, especially with subsequent rate cuts in the future, that more and more people will start to feel like, oh, now is the time to get on purchasing. Historically, it doesn't always work that way.
Well, typically they say the interest rate adjustments usually take 6 to 12 months to see the repercussions of those adjustments.
To the economy.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think the same applies here when you're talking about people that are going to be getting into the market now to buy homes. We're not going to see an immediate increase in the prices of homes, and we're not going to see an immediate increase in sellers going out into the market. I think we're going to see somewhat of an increase in sellers, which eventually may lead to a pricing increase.
Yeah, looking at even with interest rates, if they go down, I think it'll take a long time to see the effects of that, because right now we're going through even though they haven't said we're in a recession, our economy is contracting. Our spending habits are going to be less because more money is servicing our debt for mortgages, or people that have experienced increase in rent, or they moved and now they're at market rents.
Right.
So there's more money, more of people's money is servicing their housing situation.
Cost of living, yeah.
Their that's one aspect of cost of living that they keep harping about.
Right. Yeah.
That is out there. So how's that going to affect people's spending habits? So we're going to see an economic shrinkage, anyways. So for the price or for the homes to not adversely, what's it called? Inversely affect a price increase.
Yeah, the reciprocal effect.
Yeah, so if it inversely affects the prices, I don't think it's going to do that immediately, because
that's correct. Yeah.
Because even after 2008, 2009. And we started seeing interest rates coming down, the prime rate come down a little bit over year. We were still Victoria's market was flat for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
If not longer.
Yeah.
That's even after a recovery from our soft landing housing crash or bubble bursting
Yeah.
from the past, right?
Yeah.
So, I think we're in. This is the beginning of a bumpy ride in real estate.
Yeah, I think I would buy that, and I think to add to that, my big thing is that it's not like the magic bullet here, that interest rates dropped, everything's going to be wonderful in the real estate market, and people are going to be able to go out and buy homes and all of those things. There's still a bigger picture to everything, and the repercussions of the interest rate announcement are probably months away. The real repercussions, several months away.
Same as when they started to increase interest rates, we wouldn't see the effect of that for 6 months, a year, but they went consecutively, 7 times in a row. So I think with that that sharp increase, consecutive increase of interest rates, and now we've been flat for whatever it is, 8 months or something. I think we're going to feel this contraction longer and more severely than in the past.
Yeah, and then eventually we'll see
I'm positive about the market. I'm positive about real estate. I'm just cautious about it. And thinking about in the past when times were tough, unemployment isn't up yet.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, I have a graph that sort of got me thinking about this with unemployment rate and when interest rates started to cut. And I can post that. I'll put that on the screen. It was followed by, like, the damage is already done.
Yep.
Now, in the next 2 years, let's say, we'll see unemployment rise. So we'll see the after effects. People will try to hold on, will be paying their houses. They will, like, line of credit or use whatever means they have to keep businesses running to see if they can get through it. Like, I don't think Canadians are ones to give up too easily.
Yeah.
And we prioritize paying for our roof over our heads, if it's our rent or if it's our mortgage, over other things like car payments, credit card payments. Yeah. You might see in the news that credit card payments are more delinquent than others.
Right.
Yeah, there was an article that came out with here's the top 10 cities that have like the highest average of credit card debt. It was like there's about $200 between the spread between the first and 10th place, and there's still about $3,500. Yeah. I'm not saying like I'm not belittling that amount. That's a lot of money for people. I'm not saying that at all. People work hard for that money. Yeah. But $3,500 is a drop in the bucket when it comes to like overall debt ratios.
Yeah, compared to your mortgage and things like that also, right?
School loan, cars, and then finally, I think 73% of Canadian debt on average is your house, is your mortgage.
Right.
So to whittle it down to, it's like 3 or 4% is credit card debt. And the in-between is other things like line of credit, car loans, school debt.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So I guess at the end of the day, my take, and I think Patrick's were the same. We're positive about what's happened, but I don't think there's an immediate response that we're going to see suddenly the market's rebounding. I think get us back in 12 months, and let's see.
Sure. Think about this. I keep looking back at 2008, 2009, 2010, even 2011. Right. This is a very slow period of sales for Victoria. And I know that's a snapshot of a market in time, but I think a lot of markets experience this in general across Canada to varying degrees. So many people, the buyer sentiment was not positive or excited like 2021, halfway through 2020, and through some of 2022. Where everybody jumped on board. We had almost record amount of sales here in Victoria. Yeah. We have, increased population, all of this activity. It's a great place to live. They kept talking about like Vancouver Island's numbers on COVID being this, and the East Coast was this, and both of those places increased population. People moved there. Yeah. Right. So it put a spotlight on certain places. Yeah. You know what? That was like the worst time to buy.
Right.
But everybody had this fear of missing out. Everybody was all over it. Market sentiment was like super high, super positive. You should have bought in 2008, 2009, 2010, when there was plenty of selection, right? It was you can negotiate terms, you can get repairs done. Sellers were. I'm not saying sellers were desperate and they were like getting foreclosed on, bankrupt. That's not what I'm saying at all. Everybody was just way more realistic about putting together an agreement that's fair for all parties. Sellers had to be more patient, and on the other end of that, they were the buyers that didn't have to overbid.
Yeah.
They didn't have to have no subject to conditions for their purchase. They could negotiate on their purchase as well. They didn't have to feel like they are rushed into a purchase.
Yeah.
And have that FOMO happening.
Yeah.
So you know what? Maybe it goes against the grain. Maybe it sounds a little contrarian, but the next few years, if we're in a bumpy road, this is going to be the best time to buy a house.
I would agree. And we've said that from the start. I've said that from the start, is if you can make the numbers work with the interest and everything else right now, housing prices are going to rebound. They're not going to rebound the day after the interest rate reduction, but they're going to rebound and take off again.
Yeah, I bought in 2007. I've been sitting in my place, and it's like, I don't care that the market went down. I could care less that the market went down after I bought it. I've been in my house long enough. Now it's like it wouldn't matter if I bought in 2008 or 2009 when the buyer sentiment wasn't there at all.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It was a very negative aspect. That was the best time. And 10 years later, all of those people are so happy that they bought that long ago.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, if history is going to repeat itself, that's why I'm going to get so much criticism in the comments. You guys are just pumping up the market. All you guys just get paid when, you know what? We get paid when it's up or down or whatever. When the market's slow, it's harder to sell houses. We work more. That's just the way it is. And it's not that we don't work hard during a hot market. It's just different.
Yeah.
So, either way, there's a lot of unpaid work. And then when we have a successful sell, it sells. Put all of that aside. There's a ton of benefits to owning a home for hedging against price appreciation of rent, housing prices.
Yeah.
Silly. I was noticing a house around the corner from me, and the people there bought it in 1987 or something like that, right? It was a BC box, split level. Oh no, and the house was built in 60 something. So it's got wood paneling in it. It's almost vintage, museum piece, right?
Yeah.
And they bought it for $83,000.
Wow.
And they sold it for I don't know, $860,000, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's you know what, $83,000 back in 1980, whatever. If you look 40 years ahead, is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
I'm not saying your house will be worth 10 times more than what it is today in 40 years. And not every market, 1983 or 1980, whatever, the population of Victoria was 250,000. Now it's over 400,000.
Yeah.
So we don't know. That would be a whole different topic of discussion.
Sure.
What communities would see the most amount of appreciation based on interprovincial migration or immigration coming to those.
Yeah, and how susceptible they are economically to growth or contraction.
Yeah.
There's other. I think of Edmonton, where Edmonton went through a tough 80s and 90s with the oil prices and everything else until they rebounded and things then took off again. But that's
there's a lot of factors
that's
in there.
That's dependent on a lot of things. So
when I bought my house, it was it felt like a lot of money.
Sure.
And now it's okay, it's a little bit of money.
Yeah, but you're glad you
I don't
did,
have the
right?
same perception of it anymore.
Yeah,
right?
of course. So anyway, so that's our thoughts on Patrick's thought on the interest rate reduction. I think it's great for the economy as a whole. I think it's going to help keep things moving. And I believe that we're going to see more reductions to come, which will obviously have in theory, a positive effect on the economy going forward.
This might even prevent a little bit of that mortgage cliff not to be as drastic.
Sure. Yeah. So
we'll see what happens with the numbers, and of course, we will be reporting on those as those happen.
All right. See you next time. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you got some good information out of that. Please take a minute and like and subscribe. It helps us out with getting the word out there. If you know anybody who you think needs to see what we're talking about, please let them know about it.
And of course, if you're thinking of buying or selling real estate in the Greater Victoria area or anywhere on Southern Vancouver Island, you can get a hold of us. Our information is in the description below, and we'd be happy to help you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
See ya.